Yeah, so today's Factorio video is going to be about the smelting plan that I use for speedrun categories where we start with a personal roboport, which is wave defense, and also this, which is rocket rush, which we can tell because we've got a rocket launcher but no smelting. And yeah, pretty standard setup. We've got kind of a bad power grid, a pile more coal than I need actually, some amount of copper, more than a bell divine, and we've set all of this up and it's time to go and smelt it. And yeah, the plan for how I'm doing that is like 3 of these, thing for coal, pattern like that, and then yeah, this is the basic unit from which everything else is copy pasted. It started in actually let's do a more normal version first, and then talk about what I changed and why. So this is a pretty standard thing. You can have power poles through not there, here, and everything is nicely done. You'll see this in a lot of speedrun categories. It does a lot of good things. High value. You need 4 of these, and then actually let's not have the bots make all of these things, because we don't need to be running around doing all that. Yeah, all 4 of these will get you a full lane of smelting, which is great. The thing about wave defense is it doesn't tile nicely with substations. If I grab substations, then try and put some substations somewhere. So I want the first one to be here, so that it will also, so the substation will also power coal inserters that are going to be like taking coal off a coal belt that's here. But then, if we try and tile these substations at max length, see, one of these things fits, but the other substation doesn't, so I either need to move these inserters or have these substations closer. And I think what I did in wave defense is I actually like arranged these so that the substations were spaced closer together, so they naturally fitted between the inserters. That was, I mean, it was fine, a bit of a pain though. So in rebuilding wave defense, we scrapped that plan, and instead, I thought I turned bots back on. Yeah, either way, do all that stuff. Came up with this pattern here, which, yeah, let's turn bots off again so we can copy and paste all this stuff. If you do this thing, that's half of what we need, isn't it? Now if we grab some substations, we can line these things up at max distance, which is a whole lot easier to do copy and pasting things from a map, in a way that fits in between the gaps where the inserters have left, as long as you start with kind of this pattern. So that's where it started from, and then I realized a couple of other things that, like, that by itself didn't seem worth making a little video about. Maybe this one does though, because I realized a couple of other things. That if I put a power pole here and here, actually not yet, I want to do for reasons we'll get to, and then I'm supposed to take this one as well, and then I might as well have bots on at this point because we're actually building things. If I power this stuff like this, then this blueprint here will again be a fully powered thing, and then in Rocket Rush we can just put down all the normal power poles, because we don't have the substations. If we change, yeah, this is getting to things that I like about this rather than blueprinting entire smelt lanes, in that if I change that height tiling, then we can do multiple lanes at once, because we've now got space for, actually let's set up everything else first, I guess. These go here, something like this, something like that. One of these splitters here, connect this to the rest of the power grid, and yeah, then we've got to get coal in here somehow, so let's do kind of this business. Yeah, and then this section here, in a pretty normal way, gets copied to the front of the rest of these things, which is, yeah, harder to do when I'm standing on a moving belt. Yeah, and then I can do all of these belts of the inputs and the outputs myself, which is not necessarily a great idea for Rocket Rush, but in wave defense, conserving that power, that suit power, is kind of a big deal. Let's plug the rest of the stuff in as well. And then the copper is this one. And so yeah, things I like about this is this plan allows me to build, I think I need 2 more there? Yeah, 2 more. This plan allows me to build a whole lane without too much difficulty. I'm doing all the builds myself, but I'm pretty good at that anyway, kind of. I mean, in comparison to the bots, not in comparison to necessarily other speedrunners. So that's a whole lane of iron, but this plan, because I'm doing small numbers of furnaces at once, means that, first of all, the bots are not preventing me from doing mistakes like that, but they're always building the things that are close to me, which is good for suit energy usage. But it also means that I can fairly easily, I mean, for some definitions of fairly easily, build half lanes of things, which is cool because at the beginning of Rocket Rush and also at the beginning of Wave Defense, I want a lot more iron than I want copper. In fact, I don't even care about getting a full lane of copper, because almost all of the infrastructure is mostly iron. So we've got, you know, belts, inserters, mining drills. We need a lot of all of those things, and those are mostly iron. So I'm happy with the setup that allows me to easily get more iron than copper, and then just later turn up and fill out the rest of these belts again, rather than having to do sort of entire smelting lanes one at a time, which costs me a lot of belt and a lot of inserters, and I'm not going to use an entire belt of copper until quite a bit later. So that was something that was nice about it, but I think the other thing that I really liked, that I realized a bit later, is if I had another belt, it's going to be kind of whatever, like so. Yeah, we'll just make sure this stuff is full. Is making steel. In Wave Defense, you don't necessarily need to have a whole belt of steel in like this, or like a half belt, because you just don't need that much steel because you've already got a silo. In Rocket Rush, and especially in Death World Marathon Rocket Rush, you need a lot of steel because you've got to make your own silo. But the thing I liked about this plan is that if I take this... Yeah, there's a nice copy-paste steel trick I can do where... flip or rotate, whatever. If I take the side that has only the power poles on the outside, then I can do one copy-paste there, move it down 2 tiles, and that will not add any more inserters in between, but it will add the power poles, and then I'll have this set up of a bunch of inserters at the bottom that don't have any power poles between them, which means I can then copy all of these, and with a nice little rotation, they all fit into exactly the gap that I left. So it's not quite the simple... Yeah, it's a little more awkward than the previous steel setup where you had pairs of things going in and out, but this still works fine, and works fine is, you know, good enough. And so that was the thing that I realized. I've run out of furnaces because, you know, there's usually other things I've done in between then if we're actually running a thing, but that's fine. Yeah, this is now a steel build, and then all these inserters are, you know, each furnace has one inserter between them and then an in and out inserter. It's just that the order of these are kind of all over the place in a way that's fine. And yeah, not actually making steel because I didn't have the rest of those furnaces, but whatever. This is the other thing that I like doing with the smelter plan, is that, yeah, quite good for being efficient in suit energy. Lets me build partial lanes and then rebuild these lanes into full lanes later fairly easily. Also fairly efficiently with suit energy. You guys get that one for me, thanks. Then can also be powered either pleasantly with substations or pleasantly with wooden power poles, and also tiles nicely into, again, another steel build that I don't think I've seen in any other place because it's kind of silly. Like, this is not a thing you would build by hand. It's only a thing that I'm building like this because it's easy to do with the personal roboport. So yeah, that's my Wave Defense and Rocket Rush smelting plan that I don't think I'd bother doing in any other situation, but here we go. That's what it is.